everyone. I am Paromita, your host, welcoming you to our show 30 Minutes with MLI. In this show, we talk about learning languages, its assessment process, opportunities, and how you can be benefited by learning these languages. Our today's topic is Mastering IELTS exam. And from our expert guests, we will learn some important strategies, some tips and tricks so that we can be successful in this IELTS exam. Today we have with us Mr. Fasial Ahmed, our IELTS expert, and our Mirpur Language Institute's director, Mansura Mahmuda. Welcome you.
Thank you, Paromita.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So my first question is to Fasial Ahmed, sir. Can you please explain what the IELTS exam is and why IELTS exam is so important to study or work in abroad?
I think, thank you, Paromita, for arranging such webinars online for the audience, which is very crucial for the students who are planning to go abroad after preparing and taking IELTS exam. So IELTS exam actually is a passport. It's a passport for the opportunities, global opportunities. So it's a key to the doors of the opportunities around the world, and which is recognized in every country, in most of the countries around the world. IELTS actually stands for International English Language Testing System, which is a language proficiency test, right, under British Council. Which is organized under Cambridge University, Cambridge Assessment International Education, and also the British Council. It has got another branch, which is operated from Australia, which is we call INFE. So both are same, both actually under Cambridge University. So, and which is very trusted in compared to other language proficiency tests, which normally we take to get admissions, especially to get admission into various universities, after our O-level and A-level. And also in the Bangladeshi context, higher secondary modules: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So in 4 modules, we need to score between 0 to 9. Band score 0 to 9, whereas band score 9 is being the highest. So IELTS is normally tested for 2 purposes. One is academic purpose, and the other is professional and immigration purpose. So for academic purpose, normally the standard score is 6 to 7, and 8 I think is a very good score, excellent score. But 6 to 7 is, I think, standard score for most of the universities in UK, USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, which is very promising country, and which is very, I think, dream country for the Bangladeshi students and also the students of the developing countries. Thank you, Paromita.
Okay. Sir, I wanted to ask you about another thing. That is, what are the key section of IELTS exam and what skills are assessed in each section?
Right. So a few things I have already mentioned in my previous answers to your first question, right?
Yeah.
However, for more clarification and for our audience,
Yes.
I'd like to explain. So your question is what sections are tested, right?
Yes, and what are the skills that are assessed in each section?
Okay. So 4 sections and 4 modules are actually assessed in IELTS exam, which are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Okay, so and how they're assessed? They're actually assessed based on the accuracy, uh, based on the fluency, right, and the language level of uh, the advancement in language. Like in terms of listening, this section assesses your ability to understand spoken English in various contexts, whether you can understand by listening to the conversation. Okay, that may happen in live, on live, in person, or you can listen to a podcast, right, or any audio book, or any video conversation. So from that listening, whether you can understand it or how far you can understand it, there's actually listening module test or assessments, right? So, and the next one is reading. In terms of reading, it evaluates your reading comprehension, right? Especially it's very important for those who actually take this exam for academic purposes, right? So it evaluates your reading comprehension skills by presenting passages from different text types. Okay, so normally in reading section, 3 passages appear in the test paper, and based on the passages, various types of questions like multiple choice, true, false, given, not given, right? Um, Fill in the gaps. Okay, these types of various questions normally appear in the test paper of IELTS to understand and find out the exact information, whether the student can understand by reading the passage. Okay, so now let's talk about writing. In writing section, you will be required to express your thoughts, express your thoughts and ideas in writing. Right, it includes both task 1 and task 2. Task 1 assesses your writing skill of any chart, graph, table, right? And in task 2, it assesses your skill and ability to write on any, your viewpoints like agreements, disagreements, or any problem solution. Okay, so this type of things normally comes in task 2 in writing, IELTS writing. And last of all, the fourth module is speaking. You will have a face-to-face interview with an examiner for 11 to 14 minutes, right, in 3 parts. Part 1 assesses your introductory skill, uh, how able are you to introduce yourself, how able are you to talk about yourself, excuse me. And in part 2, the examiner will give you a cue card to talk about on a specific topic. Okay, and in part 3, the examiner will ask you some questions related to part 2's topic-based question, right? So while you will discuss various things, give a short speech and engage in a discussion. So thank you, Paromita.
Okay. Sir, I wanted to ask another question. That is, how can test takers improve their English language skills? Because many of us are afraid of English, so how can we improve our English skills?
Okay, that's very good and common question, I believe. So how we can improve our English, right? To Okay. So IELTS exam is a test which actually most of the test takers are afraid of, right? But it's actually not a thing that we have to be afraid of, right? Uh, plan, if we plan and if we study strategically, then I think we can overcome our fear. We can overcome the shortage of our vocabulary by studying and learning regularly on a routine basis, right? So you have to maintain a routine. You have to maintain a routine. You have to maintain a notebook and diary, right? You have to uh, bring yourself into the world of uh, reading and writing, listening and speaking. Right. You have to continue these things.
Yeah,
So
consistency is
practicing,
key.
normally there is a saying that practice makes a man perfect. So you must practice, always practice the four skills of language, right? Listening, reading, writing, and speaking regularly. And you have to assess yourself that how much you have learned it today, how what things you will learn tomorrow. Okay, and after 1 month or 1 week or 6 months or 1 year, actually, what things have you learned it so far? You have to assess yourself. You have to keep record of your learnings, right, in a diary or notebook, and review them, learn them, discuss them with your peers, with your mentors, with your classmates, right, with your friends. So wherever you go, think in English, okay? Rather than translating, think in English, speak in English, write in English, read newspapers, read magazines in English, okay? I think these things will improve your English, basic English. And whenever you get an improvement in your basic English, I think you can take IELTS exam, right?
Okay, so you're saying that consistency is the key here, and we
Yes, yes.
always have to be in practice.
Regularity and consistency is very important for
Yes.
anything.
Can you mention some classroom activities that can be practiced in the classroom for IELTS, for English skill development?
Okay, that's another good question. Thank
Just
you very
mention,
much.
mention.
Okay. So in the classroom, actually, the mentor or instructor must have, I believe that must have a lesson plan. Actually, what lesson he or she will provide in the classroom, how he or she will manage the time, and in which specific time he or she will do what specific task, right? So classroom activity should be very interesting, very engaged, and target oriented. Okay. So when we set our target, our goal, and we set our topic, then we can learn better. And if we keep our record along with that. Okay. First of all, the mentor or teacher should explain about the objective of the lesson, particular 40 minutes or 2 hours lessons. Actually, what they're gonna learn today and how they can keep this learning forever, right? So through practice, regular practice after the class, okay, and also reviewing. And at the end of the class, also the teacher will review actually what they have managed to learn throughout the 40 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours class. Okay, so activity can be in various ways. If you have got a digital classroom, activity can be listening to podcasts, listening to an YouTube video, right? Any movie scene. Okay, that will be very interesting. And also IELTS related topic. Okay, that they can also watch through YouTube, like how actually IELTS spoken test with examiner set. Okay, they can also have an overview of that before the exam. Okay, that I think they they will be benefited through this. And also they can use books for reading, IELTS books or any newspapers, English newspapers or any British magazine, like or any Canadian magazine from which actually IELTS passages are taken from, right? Like Independent, Guardians, Reader's Digest, Times. Okay, this National Geographic magazine. So these very prominent international newspapers and magazines, they can be suggested to read in the classroom and after the classroom at their home as well. So and during reading, they can use highlighter, they can use notebook, they can cut the papers specific line, specific picture, they can cut it and they can make a scrapbook, scrap notebook, so that they can keep the record, keep the track of their learning, that actually what they are actually receiving from the text, what actually suggestions they're receiving from their mentors. Okay, so through these activities they can increase their vocabulary skill, grammar skill. Okay, so in various way, contextual way, teacher will discuss, and from the context they can also learn the culture, learn the time history, learn the the vocabulary, specific contextual vocabulary, and also learn the grammatical uh, aspects as well.
Great. Sir,
And speaking and listening can be done simultaneously. Okay, yes, Paramita.
sir,
On.
so you are working on this field for now for so many years, right? We already know you, but can you please tell educate us about your experiences, about your skills for our audience?
Okay, that's actually a long story. So language learning process actually is not for a specific time. It's a lifelong process. You always need to practice it. Otherwise, because IELTS exam, certificates validation date is only 2 years. So why actually said this? Because if you don't practice a language, naturally you will forget that.
Yes.
So for myself, actually, while during my study life, while I was a student, I studied a lot. Actually, I planned my lessons and I keep my records, what actually I was learning. Keep my record of vocabulary, new contextual things, and in which context this can be said, right? So contextual phrase, contextual idioms, contextual words, advanced vocabulary that normally appear in IELTS exam. Synonyms, antonyms. Okay, so these things, English language or any other language, whenever you need to learn, you need to know the grammar, the structure of the language. And the second important thing is you need to strengthen your vocabulary, the storage of the stock of the words. Okay. So the bigger the stock of your words, the larger will be your ability to use the language in real context. So from my experience, while actually before I taking IELTS in March 2009, I studied a lot. Even I studied so many books outside my syllabus of honors, right, during my honors period. So I had to study my prescribed book in my curriculum of honors, and also I studied various um, books, magazines, newspapers, okay, which actually published in Britain or USA or Australia or Canada. So as English language is actually for um, it's a native language of English people in English speaking countries. That's why I need to follow those countries' culture, those countries' publications. Okay, those countries' context as well. So whenever I am used to their context, their culture, their publications, okay, then I think I can use the language in a masterful way. Okay, so that's very important thing.
You are
Okay,
doing
yes,
your
Parmiza.
MPhil, right?
Yes, now I'm doing
Hello.
my MPhil under Bangladesh University of Professionals in Dhaka
Okay. What is that?
Cantonment.
The topic?
Okay, my topic is as I love literature, English literature. So my topic is literary aestheticism,
Oh,
which
Oh,
is art for art's sake and art for life's sake.
interesting.
And art means
and you
actually
did your
not only
and your
painting. Art actually includes all the category of arts and humanities like music, language, literature, you know.
masters, previous masters.
Okay,
What
my
was the
previous
major?
master's is from England. After taking my IELTS exam in March, I applied in various universities and I got success under Nottingham University, and I did my master's in English literature from Nottingham University in England in 2010.
So you have completed your study in abroad, right? So,
Yes.
Paromita, do you have this question that uh, to suggest the students, to recommend the students some activities, how to go to abroad, what should be the preparation from sir? Do
Yeah,
you have this question?
no, I didn't prepare that one, but that is a very interesting question. I think that
Yeah.
will be
No
more
problem.
important for prospective
You can ask,
students.
you can
So
ask any
thank
type of
Yes.
questions. Don't worry.
And we mostly
Take
we
take it
deal with the
easy.
students, those who want to go abroad for their higher study. Right, Paramita?
yes. And I think the first prerequisite is to be successful in IELTS exam.
Yes. That's why our this endeavor is we are working on. Okay, what
Yes,
is your
yes, I
next
think so.
question?
Sir, I have this is my last question. Is there any common mistakes that test takers make in this exam? Common mistakes.
Yeah, there are lots of common mistakes actually. So far, I have known that test takers make before IELTS exam and during IELTS exam, right? So to explain that, I'd like to say that their preparation is actually jeopardized. They are actually very scary and afraid of the test. So, and they have no plan. The first mistake is they have no plan. Okay. Actually, they are not sure which coaching center or which language institute they should go. First of all, they decide this. So this is another mistake. Okay. So language institute actually doesn't matter. The matter is mentors. What type of mentors actually they get? If the mentor is good, then institute doesn't matter, right? So when they get a good mentor, a good instructor, they can follow him in a plan-wise way. Then I think they can proceed in a good structured way. So the first mistake is they have no plan. So I think for every task we should have plan. So IELTS exam is a very important exam for non-native English speakers. So we should have a plan, a strategic plan. And the other thing is most of the students don't assess themselves. Assessment is very important. Even many language institutes don't assess the students before starting their preparation for IELTS. So assessment is very important. I mean, assessment is to understand the level of the students, whether they are beginner or intermediate or advanced. Okay. So instruction and learning procedure is different from beginners. Okay. And also different from other intermediate and advanced learners. So um, assessment is very important. So first mistake is they don't have any specific plan. The second mistake is they don't assess themselves, right? So they should assess in various ways, from lesson learning to taking the exam. Like before taking the exam, there are some students who don't actually take any mock test to assess themselves. So mock test is very important. Some students, most of the students, I believe that they go for mock test, but some students feel overconfident and they don't go for mock test. So this is another mistake. And the other mistake is most of the students go for mock test, but after mock test, they don't actually try to improve their skills. They don't assess actually what their weaknesses are. They never try to find out their weaknesses. So after assessment, and after mock test, we should assess our level of understanding, our score. Okay, actually, what score, probable score I can make in the real exam. So we should actually be aware of that. So if we are aware of that, then we can um, mitigate our weaknesses, our drawbacks, and we can higher our levels in terms of exam competency, right? So these are the mistakes normally test takers made. So during now, I'd like to tell about the mistakes that most of the test takers do during the exam.
Okay.
The first mistake they usually do, they feel panic. You know, this is the greatest mistake. If you feel panic, then I think if you are under stress, if you can't calm yourself, then your test will never be good. Okay. Whatever you have
Okay, I
learned, you
want
will
to
forget.
know, one thing I want to know, that is, if any student is beginner in IELTS, okay, completely
Yes.
beginner. So from where he or she should start? It's speaking, reading, writing, or which one? Which one? Or listening? Which one he
Okay,
or she
okay.
should start?
So if the student is beginner, then I think he should go for a foundation. Can you say again, please? Little bit I forgot.
I asked that if the student is beginner, completely beginner
Oh,
for
okay, okay,
IELTS,
okay. Yeah,
from
I
which
can
part
remember.
he or she should start?
Okay. For the beginners, actually, a foundation course is very important before going to the advanced level of IELTS preparation, right? So foundation in English will help him to understand IELTS and also actually what things he or she need to do next, right? So before starting the preparation of the materials of IELTS, he or she should go for, improving his foundational English course. So he or she can
No,
take one month,
suppose
minimum
he
one
has
month.
the foundation. He has the foundation, but he wants to start IELTS. For IELTS, from which area he or she should start?
Okay.
Beginner for
Then I
IELTS.
think, yeah, yes, yes, yes. I think he can start from his speaking module, from listening, and then step by step reading and writing. So first of all, you can start with speaking, the speaking context, in what context actually IELTS exam are assessed, and then he can go for listening to various IELTS related tasks and topics, and also he can be accustomed or used to the context of IELTS listening test as well, and then reading passage. Okay, so from reading passage, he can first of all develop his vocabulary as well as grammar. So both things he or she need to improve. Then I think gradually he can answer the questions.
I think it
And next
depends
he
on.
can go for strategies. Okay, first of all, he need to strengthen his skills, language skills. Then he can go for tips, strategies, specific techniques, how he can answer this specific type of questions.
I think it varies from student to student, right? Because the test taker needs to understand in which area he or she is more weak, and they can start preparing based on that.
I think so.
Okay, so our 30-minute is almost over. Thank you, Faisal Ahmed sir and our Mansura Mahmuda ma'am. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining with us today. It was really great to have you. Thank you.
Thank you too for such a wonderful program. I hope our next program will be also very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks from my part to the Mirpur Language Institute and also the director, Mansura Ahmed, and also the host of this program webinar,
Thank you.
Paromita.
Thank
Thank you
you.
and bye.
Bye. Good night.